Everybody, guess what? Everybody, I'm back. Everybody, guess what? Everybody, I'm back. Everybody, guess what? Guess what? I'm back. I'm back. Everybody, guess what? Guess what? I'm back. Everybody, I'm back. I'm back. Everybody, guess what? Guess what? I'm really mad, man. Oh, if you guys knew what I've been through in my life, you would kill yourself. If you guys knew what I've been through in my life, you would kill yourself. And I'm still kicking. I'm still kicking. It's Virgo season, guys. You know what that means? That means they're using your intuition against you. That means it's so hard to function because it's a stagnant earth energy. That everything is stagnant. I'm mad, guys. I'm fucking mad, everybody. Who's in my chat? Oh, it's fine. My phone is durable. Look at that. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. Fill up chat. Is it my mom in the chat? Is it my mommy? Has my mom recognized that she has the mental illness the whole time? And that I'm just a product of gaslighting and gang stalking and the degradation of the human spirit from homelessness? That the whole time I was just a gifted mind? Isn't that crazy? If you're new to the channel, for the people that watch back later, Casey Francis O'Brien lives in his own matrix simulation with a very specific, challenging story where he has to fight alone a long battle against insufferable, immense oppression, constantly trying to rip and tear away at him for his whole life. One of these enemies, he has many ops, and the ops all have similar names, and they follow similar themes, because that's what he chose to incarnate with, because he's an ascended master. One of these ops is a Russian billionaire. Could it get more cartoony? He's got a Russian billionaire that flew in from Russia after joining the elite cult, a billionaire. Do you know what you have to do to have $1 billion in this world? To get $1 billion, Andrew Tate had to take 4.5 million kids and got them as much money as they could. Shut the fuck up, all of you. I'm talking here. Fuck all of you. So Casey Francis O'Brien, I've had to kill 2 people in self-defense. I spent my whole life in isolation, but the point is, there's big build-ups to this thing. Like my hometown, after I learned about my Irish heritage and what the Vikings did to Ireland, where they raped a whole island because they were taller. The Vikings were these tiny redhead goblin freaks that came in and raped Ireland, overwhelmed them in the nighttime, took the women, brought them to Iceland, and just bred them to make bigger and bigger and bigger Vikings. They had horrible genetics. After coming from the caves, these alien freaks came out and just raped everybody. Because everyone at the time was just like, this is amazing, I love being here, look at the sun, look at the trees. And then these guys came out. Clutch Cassidy, you're a piece of shit then, fuck you. Fuck you, keep jerking off. One day your dad might be proud of you, but none of us here are. Get the fuck out of my life. So listen, so after I learned about the Irish heritage, guess what popped up the next day? So I was like, oh, this is really cool. I fell asleep. I wake up, open my phone on Facebook. A Russian billionaire has come into my hometown of Brattleboro, Vermont. You're all gone. Fuck you. I'm banning everyone tonight. Everyone's getting banned. Forever. I'm never going to see any of these faggots again. Listen. A Russian billionaire pops into my hometown. Immediately buys all the land, all the farmland, several local businesses, the news. He just steps into my hometown and buys everything. And guess what he names it? The most Irish part of the country, where I, Casey Francis O'Brien, slept in the exact center of every day, walking around having the time of my life. He calls it Viking villages. A Russian billionaire leaves Russia, goes to the most Irish part of the country, buys up all the land in the farmland, and he names it Viking farms and villages because he invaded the most Irish part of the country. You go to his website, and he's got a giant Latin cult doctrine about spreading chaos and hurting the world. And he's buying up all our businesses, and he's buying up all the foods. And all these stupid, lonely faggots, these losers. Look at them. Look at them popping like flies. Imagine how horrible their lives are. Imagine how horrible their lives are. Would you feel bad? Not many people would feel bad. There's not many people on earth that would feel bad for these pieces of shit. Look at them. They're autistic. They sit alone. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. It makes me mad that the world is like this. It makes me angry when I see how horrible it is. Today it's just white people with sunglasses that go like this. And I can feel them ripping and tearing. It was an 11 day. So on the 11 days, it's so bad. And then we had the big guy with his glasses. Then we had a fat woman with a camera. And 2 dogs, and the dogs came up and just licked my fucking face, and I was like, you're just gonna let the dogs fucking rape me like that? You're gonna let the dogs molest my face, trying to get their bacteria up my mouth? That's what they're doing. The dogs come up, and when they try to get their saliva into your nose. Do you know that cats have a parasite naturally that makes anyone that their saliva touches want to feed the cats? It's called Toxoplasmosis. All these people that love cats and they start to act like cats, it's because the cats are constantly rubbing their shit, their parasitic infection into their nose and mouth, which makes rats want to find cats to perpetuate this parasite. It will make the rats run at the cats and get sexually charged by the sight of and scent of a cat. What do you think that does for us when it gets into our system? So everyone I love is dead or dead inside. My hometown has been destroyed by crackheads, and now it's been bought up by a Russian billionaire that's building monuments and symbolism to the culture that enslaved the ancestors of the people that lived there. Everyone I see walking down the street is brainwashed and diseased and playing this game that they don't want to play. They don't even really recognize what they're with awareness what they're a part of, and they just walk around making everybody's day worse. I deal with white pride every day where they just can't live their own life, so they have to go and ruin everybody else's life. And they target me because I have a natural freedom and a high level frequency that I have because of the life that I've been living. And we're on a time limit. We don't have a lot of time to do anything. Come on, bro. I keep dropping my phone trying to do the chat. I wish I could turn it off. I wish I could kill half of you. I wish you could just pass by me on the street and say the stupid shit that you all say. I wish that I could see you, like, see me talking on my phone right here and you pass by and say the shit that you say. I would kill you. It's Vermont. The police don't give a fuck. The police do not give a fuck. I swear to God, it's just if you make them feel inferior about themselves. Then they do their job. For the most part, they don't care. You feel me? I just do it. I swear to God. Everyone else is doing it. There's so many murders and rapes in this town. There's so many murders and rapes in my state that nobody gives a fuck about because the state police are getting caught and then they get 30 days in jail for raping minors. So the state police will pull up and you think that they're there to protect you, and then they pull the gun out and they rape you in your car on a back road. State troopers. And then the judge gives him 30 days in jail. Look at all these fucking idiots. You guys are losers. You're pathetic pieces of garbage and nobody wants to be around. You should kill yourself. I hope you kill yourself. I hope to God you do it. I hope to God one of you does it. Put me in the suicide note. Call me out by name. Clip it and have it playing on repeat. And be like, it's your fault. It's Vermont. It's a small town where nobody gives a fuck. They're all Freemasons. They've been around for years. I already read what you said. They've been around for generations. This is the original white America before it all spread out. This is the origin point. It's also the most Irish part of the country. So, like the Irish were smart, right? So we just waited it out. They had us enslaved. Irish people were enslaved. Jamaican people were enslaved. Indigenous people were enslaved. And they lied about it. They made it up. They made up history so that we wouldn't recognize what happened. But everywhere that Great Britain had a colony, they took slaves, if they took slaves. So Irish people were one of them. Irish people were on the block with the Africans and the indigenous people. The Irish were right there too. We were the crackers. We were the black whites. The crackers were the Irish people that would laugh in the English's face until they hung them. He said, don't buy that one. He's a cracker. He's not going to work. He's just going to sit there. He's just going to stand there staring at you. No matter how much you beat him, he's just going to sit there laughing at you. He's a cracker. Don't buy him. Buy the Jamaican instead, whatever. So I've got, how long do you think we have until the world ends? We're ascended to 4D. Right now, fourth dimensional consciousness is dealing with narratives and relationships. So you'll be more focused on narrative energy. You'll be more focused on the relationships and how that's projecting against your mind, constantly coming up with characters, trying to create against this sea of bad stuff that you have to work through. Because we're raising to a point where time and space will no longer exist, and you come back to your oversoul, you come back to your highest density consciousness. And then you're ready to be this kind of multi-dimensional traveling shifter. Like when you have an ayahuasca experience and you see a bunch of people come through. And you see all these spirits that are like, what the fuck? And they teach you things. Those are just passing by things that chose to come down in a moment in time. This is stuff you'd have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to understand. But instead you're going to keep beating your dick. Nobody gives a fuck about any of you. You're so lonely. Look at all of you. Look at all of you. You can't come up with anything intelligent to say. You have nothing important going on. You're scrolling, doing absolutely nothing with your life. You guys are pathetic losers, and that's coming from a homeless man. Right? I get the lakeside views that rich people have to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend a week at. I get to stay there for free. I get to fuck the baddest bitches in the world. We have Colombians here. We have the smart, intelligent hiker hoes here. We have everything you could ever want. And I can tell you, you guys would make them extremely uncomfortable. And then people like me would have to get more people like you to just keep perpetuating. So if you showed up right now and I had a party, and everybody in here would come in here and try to get in, what I would do is I would have hired somebody that's just like you to stand guard, and we would let him pretend like he's big and bad, you know? We'd let him fall into the Stanford prison experiment. And then when we had the little nerdy trolls, currently we have technology that is easy to get, so no more slave and master. I don't care, you're gone forever, fuck you. Sorry. Sorry. I can see your narcissism popping out. I'd chill with you just for the view of nature. You can keep the chicks. We don't have, I don't think we have much longer left to enjoy it before you can just think, bam, and then you have the experience. I think if you really want to chill in nature, you should do it now. Because half of us will be gone. And then people like Broke Bob will be stuck here to deal with all the shit that's going to happen to them. And hopefully, if they're here long enough, they'll remember as the nukes fall that Casey O'Brien has shifted to a higher dimensional consciousness because he took control of the Higgs boson and literally warped into the right frequency to guide his multiverse into the world where it didn't happen. And then you guys would not have the knowledge necessary to have that happen, so you will suffer. And you'll remember this. Whiteout, I want to keep you because you got the Irish writing. But let's just put you in timeout for 24 hours because fuck you. So yeah, my culture is being raped by rich people right now. And everyone I love is brainwashed and gone. I'm like the only person here that's held my mind enough. I've held on to everything I've been through. I held on to everything I learned as I traveled. I didn't just let it go and succumb to addictions like food and internet and porn and real drugs. I held on to it and I kept going. It's been years. That's why I can't do it. When I tell you guys, I come on here and I tell you guys what I go through on a daily basis, that there are people that are trapped in the matrix still, that are being piloted by an artificial intelligence that hates me because of what I'm capable of doing in the community. And it sends people that are like you guys, depressed and stuck like this, that don't understand their impulses are being fed to them because they've depressed themselves out of a conscious awareness and control over life. They haven't woken up. They're not real. So it sends people like that at me. And I also think that this is a holographic simulation, like the CIA have just come out and said, yeah, have you guys ever looked up the declassified documents? There's UFOs that turn military bases to stone with everybody inside them because they were going to hit a nuke. They went to do the nuke launch code. The alien turned it off remotely. They're like, fuck. Our nukes just got hacked. So they turned it on and then went to hit the button and then they all turned to stone pillars. So, if that's the case, why am I'm seeing people with gray skin, always people with sunglasses. Somebody showed up to me today with a shirt that was red and black with a big bear on it, and he had sunglasses, and he wouldn't leave me alone for 2 hours. Can you imagine 2 hours of your day and somebody with a shirt with a bear on it that's red and black follows you around through the town just staring at you and twitching like this? What would you guys do? Would you guys consider yourself schizophrenic? If you had a guy in a bear shirt that was red and black follow you around for 2 hours in the middle of the woods, deep in the forest, you wake up in the woods and there's a guy with a bear shirt that's red and black with the sunglasses so you can't see his eyes, and he's just staring at you and he follows you through the woods for 2 hours. Would you go up to him? Would you walk up to him? Would you say anything to him? I pretended like he was a white American loser. I was like, look at this guy for 2 hours here doing this shit. You're not gonna catch any fish. He brought his fishing pole out. He walked right next to me and started fishing, but he was like looking at me like that. And I was like, I told him the story of the last time I went fishing with a Navajo Mohican indigenous man that grew up in East LA and was an East LA gangbanger full of tattoos that had killed people when he was 10 and had spent his whole life in that became homeless because in San Francisco you can get $1,000 a month. So then he took that $1,000 a month and he just went east. And he just walked for 8 years, just traveling town to town to town, picked up a couple dogs. He had a dog, a pit bull, that could hang on somebody's arm for 45 minutes. So somebody would put their arm up on a thing, and the pit bull would just be ripping at it for 45 minutes. And he had two of them, and coincidentally, they're named after Irish gods. And when I introduced myself to him, hey, what's up, man? I'm Casey. He had his headphones in watching the Ninja Turtles, where Casey Jones says, hey, what's up, guys? My name's Casey. And it happened at the same time. And I said, what's up? My name's Casey. And then, what's up? My name's Casey. So we went around. We saw racists. We saw fat white pride taking it out on the indigenous. I got to see it firsthand, and I had to save him from people that were coming to kill him just because he looked different and he had pit bulls, because he had tattoos and pit bulls. So I had to save him. Then his organs failed, and I had to bring him to the hospital, and they wouldn't serve him because he's got tattoos and he's indigenous. They thought he was a gang member. So they wouldn't do any of that. So I had to take him 3 hours north, and I had to bring him to New York because people were going to come kill him. That's how racist and bad it is. I'm glad my skin is light enough. Look at all these pieces of garbage. Look at them. Look at them. Can you guys recognize that they're not coming from an open mind and a collaborative frame, that they're trapped in their own insecurity and their bad habits? And that, can you guys It's pain, like it's so clear to me when I wake up. Like if you haven't realized, the way that I talk and the way that things come to me and the motion of everything is exactly the way that people experience things on ayahuasca and DMT, where it just comes to them immediately and they can call information out of the ether at their will because they operate outside of space and time. That's been my whole life. I have all this cool shit and I come to share it with everybody. You understand? There's so much I could offer you guys. I could literally save your life. I could turn you into pimps. I could have you hit tons of women. I could get you rich. I could get you all of this stuff that I have blessed, but I don't share it because they don't deserve it. Nobody deserves it. They don't have the humility and boundaries necessary to fight off what happens when you have money. When you have money, you free yourself and allow yourself higher bandwidth, and what lives in that higher bandwidth is like the electrified demons that operate from pride. It's like a distorted red and white that comes in, and then the people start to act a certain way. They have certain behaviors and traits that you can recognize instantly when you know that. And that's why Jesus told you to have humility, so that you didn't succumb to one of the deadly sins, to keep you. You feel me? We're banning everyone tonight. Forever. All of them are going until I find one person that has the right. They come correctly. So yeah, what would you do? What would you guys do if a Russian billionaire bought your entire town and he built monuments to the culture that enslaved their ancestors? Tell me about it, Casey. How you doing, bro? I'm good, man. I'm just chilling. We got somebody. Is it the girl in the white truck? Yeah. It's the same thing. Same shit, different day, right? I think I have light on the other side. Hold up. It's just, so these are called gangstalkers. They're consistent characters that follow you. No matter what. No matter the time of day, no matter the place, no matter what's going on. It could be a thunderstorm, it could be a hurricane or flood. And I'm getting matrix attacked right now live. I broke free and I showed one of my gang stalkers showed up that shows up all the time. We have Deanna and we have Spencer O'Brien. We have O'Connor, like my dead son Connor. We have Deanna, like the first girlfriend I ever had, the girl that took my virginity. And then we have O'Brien. They're motifs that support a narrative because when your soul incarnated with your pineal gland, it embedded certain themes that will be expressed in your reality as this whole thing constantly shifts around you based on your internal. You have themes embedded that the Matrix and the higher realms and all this stuff support to have this amusement park ride. So you have certain themes and certain names that will follow you your whole life because they're there to support the structural integrity of the information in your system. Like a Russian billionaire has bought my Irish hometown and is building Viking villages. Coincidentally, there was an Irish indigenous bar in the center of the town that the indigenous across the country, when they would do their walks, would go to. They always went to Ray McNeil's, like Kai Cenat Ray, Casey Rocket, Adam Ray. I'm making an album with a girl named Ray right now. And then Ray McNeil's bar burns down, killing Ray McNeil when I'm on McNeil Road that attaches to Casey Road. So I turned around on McNeil Road to go take a picture of Casey Road, and then McNeil's pub burned down, killing him. And then this Russian billionaire bought the land. What would you do? What would you guys do? You guys can't come up with anything. What would you do? I think I banned all the bad ones. What would you guys do? What would you guys do, huh? if every time you felt a little bit of peace, somebody came to kill you, what would you do? Even if you're deep outside in the woods, if you had literal MK Ultra, alien, reptilian, they live, artificial intelligence, gangstalkers that come to stop you every single time you break free, and they'll go so far as to rape you to keep you in this state of powerlessness so that they can continue to siphon away all of your consciousness, that they can use you as a battery and waste your life for as long as they can. Because this is the only place in the universe that they can get you. Your soul is eternal, it's everywhere. But when you choose to incarnate into this experience, they can get you. Because you signed up to have free will. You signed up with choices. Cosmic Bruh, I produce extra DMT naturally because of something that happened, the circumstances of my birth and how I grew up made it so that gland is enlarged. So whenever I get a boost of serotonin, or I take melatonin at night, or I smell even just a bit of weed, that THC comes in, I have a full-blown out-of-body DMT experience that, you know, like when people live as a fish for like 3 months, then they come back in and nothing's changed. It's been like 7 minutes, like a whole dream where they dream that they're in a whole nother place, a whole different realm of the infinite for like 3 months. What the fuck is that? So they told me I was going to get a UFO tonight. They told me I was going to have a UFO tonight. Something told me in my head. Can you guys see that line of stars? You can't. Okay, so there's a pillar of stars going up to the sky. It's just traveling slowly. It's a straight line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just slowly leaving. You guys can't see it at all. What the fuck was that? That was not Starlink. That was going way too slow to be Starlink. It was just a straight line of different stars, like a pack of drones that came down from the sky. Literally, like they're the fake stars. When you look up and you see stars, and then they came down. So they got close to me, then they froze in place. I tried to connect to one, and then one blipped up, blip, and then it just slowly moved. It didn't move like orbit. Starlink, what they do is it goes in a straight line down this way. This moved, and now it's moving to the right. It's like shifting completely. It's not orbiting the Earth. It came down from the sky, and now it's hovering over a mountain over there. And my phone didn't pick it up. And we have this woman over here smoking crack and dying. She keeps coming back. She keeps going out to get more crack and then comes back to smoke it by herself. Yeah, you have to pay thousands of dollars to have an ayahuasca experience. Meanwhile, I'm already in the, like, I'm just a fourth dimensional being. It looks like those AI videos where you change it to AI and the thing's constantly warping and shifting based on the prompt that you gave it. That's my whole experience, my whole life. But I learned how to control it. And now when I get back to that and I start to do everything that I learned, when I escape this complaining, traumatized piece of garbage sitting outside cold, and I start to utilize my mind to start building positive relationships and make a change and live my dreams and create something, there's just either a crackhead, crow, cop, or creep. It's crows, cockheads. Hold up. Yep, so she's projecting her consciousness on me, which changes my behavior because I'm an empath, almost like a shapeshifter. So my whole vocabulary changes based on who I'm around. My whole mind changes, the color of my mind. It's like I chameleon to the consciousness of whoever's around me. So they crackheads, crows, cops, and creeps. And then they leave as soon as they get what they want from me. As soon as I feel like that spark of light that I had just formed, I pulled a star down from the heavens, just like those stars came down in front of my face and then are just hovering over behind this tree over here. when I just had been told there was a UFO, and now there's a cop. So we have police now. They're infiltrating to let me know that they're here to try to scare me into stopping. So I'm like an instrument. I'm playing a certain frequency that's triggering the matrix. So we have gang stalkers, we have cops, we have a UFO that came down that's just sitting over there. It's not Starlink. Starlink's supposed to go and orbit the planet. This thing just came down from the sky and it's sitting behind the trees over there. It's sitting on a mountain. So what would you guys do? They're draining me. They're just draining me. They gave me enough confidence that I could sprout up again, and then they're harvesting. Like, it's been quiet all night, but now it's extremely busy. There's cars everywhere. Look, look. You can't see it. It was a red car that was driving full speed, 50 miles an hour. And then it stopped directly in front of where I pointed my phone, because I knew they always go right in front of me. So the reason it's picked up is because the Matrix is an entity, it's an organism, it's all alive. Everything is conscious. So it's been dead the whole night. It's been dead for 3 nights in a row. 3 nights in a row I had nothing because I was sat around here depressed. And then my mind starts to activate a little bit. So I'm assuming it's that, and then I'm assuming there's a guy in the building that can hear me, because I can literally see his consciousness leaving the window and coming at me because he projected his focus. So he's probably scared. He's probably a bit anxious, and that's what's picking this up, is they're also trying to get him too, because I have so much I could offer, so much value that I could wake them up to and embed into their spirit that would change the entire course of their life. You feel me? The reference experience I could offer that would change their perspective, so that what they're constantly generating in their internal chat GBT that's dictating their multiverse reality, when they have this new information that they don't have before, it would change the structure of everything, and it would set them on a new path forever. And the only way to stop it would be to beat it out of them so much that they lose their own mind, and then have their family gaslight them into believing that they shouldn't use their mind to think because there's something wrong with them. Like Stockholm Syndrome, Pavlov's dog. It's the same thing I would do with women, where I'd wait on the buzzer. So they'd come to get buzzed into my apartment to get their fix of attention and dick, and then I would just leave them there hanging. I'm busy. Or I would pace it, time it. So build up anticipation, so the experience was better. You feel me? Did talking about nope, she went to get more crack. She pulled up to get more crack. Where'd she go? Where'd this woman go? So I was sitting over here. She had no idea I was over here. She pulled up right like this, not even in a parking space, and then blasted the high beams where I was hiding. Like that, right there. I was hiding back there on my phone. And she blasted the high beams at me. Smoking crack, doing heroin, almost overdosing, converting all the energy she just collected by driving through this nice community to come here and distort and convert it. If that's the case. But I'm pretty sure I either pushed myself into my own private Minecraft server by driving the boat so far out. Like, I went so fast and I spent so much time driving alone by myself, willing myself, opening up portals with my 33 life path, born in the 11th, pushing it through, that I think that I might have left everyone in the dust, and I'm in a place where they haven't caught up yet. All the souls are still learning and experiencing what I pioneered. And that's why everyone has the same names. Like, My dad's name is Gary. The girl I took her virginity. My favorite girlfriend was Garrett. My next girlfriend, after I broke up with her and went down to Miami to lead a charge of 150 autistic pickup artists that were buff down South Beach, and we all just showed everyone who was boss because everyone else was stuck in the Matrix and whatever. And we came out and gamed, got the girls back to the apartment Airbnb, and the entire Miami police precinct showed up. There was like 30 cops that showed up at our Airbnb to stop us because we weren't wearing our masks and we were all partying down at South Beach. So I left that girl for that. There was a spider that just tried to crawl on the camera. I just flicked a literal brown recluse that was trying to get to the camera. And I left her and she got with a guy named Gary and they had kids and he's been stalking me. He shows up drunk and he comes in my apartment freaking out and then he lies to the community about me, trying to ruin my hometown's opinion of me as it's getting bought up by a Russian billionaire and the crackheads are coming and destroying everything and the state police are raping the women. And the judge is letting them off free to go do it again. I think if there was a main character town, it seems like that's getting the most. It's the toughest town in America. We have a literal trophy that's given us the toughest town in America. So like that, what are other notable Garys? Every time I go to a Cumberland Farms, the past 6 months, so this time, 6 months ago, there was a guy named Gary at Cumbies that was giving me problems. 6 months before that, at a different Cumbies in a whole different town, there was a guy named Gary giving me problems. This year, exactly 6 months later, from these Garys that I'm meeting at the Cumbies. My dad's name is Gary, his birthday, Garrett Shanks, Gary. All these guys. All these people named Gary. At the Cumbies that told me they didn't take food stamps, so I was forced to spend all my money on food, thinking that I couldn't pay with my food stamps, and there was no other gas stations around. They were lying to me to hopefully that I wouldn't show up again. There was a cat named Gary that would come in and hang out with everybody every day. My dad's a Leo named Gary. There was a cat named Gary whose hair color is the same as my father's. Yeah, it's funny. The guy that after I broke up with my ex, who I was gonna have a kid with, and then she got with a guy named Gary. His name's Gary Gay the Third, GG3, and then we have KC3 Kai Sinat, and then I'm KC33. So there's GG3 that has been trying to come at me for years, and then we have KC3 in the mainstream. So we have KC3 here, KC33, and then we have GG3. So who taught me numerology and Freemasonry? GG33. And then I was helping my foster brother John Michael, with his crack addiction, his coke and crack addiction, while I'm listening to John Bellion making music. And then 2 years later, I'm helping John Zerka get away from GG33. And there's another John. Oh, the point was that I found out about Gary the cat went missing, and then a guy named Gary was all over Facebook trying to help people find Gary the cat. So there were 2 Garys that flooded my simulation today trying to help me get this lost cat named Gary. And my dad's name is Gary, and he's a Leo. And one time I found him drunk with 40 stray cats in the back of a motel that he used to stay at, a homeless motel. I have tons of dreams like that, where I'm on rescue missions for other people. So I could tell what I'm an empath. I could tell what drug she was doing based off the energy she attacked me with. And then as I'm processing it, I'm lifting myself up to higher vibrations, and that's causing all the mucus in my system from the sickness that's out there. Whatever's keeping people stuck, this fungus among us, whatever's keeping people trapped biologically, so that this whole thing is perpetuating instead of all of us just coming to the sun, ascending to a 5th dimension. My body's now processing what I was attacked with. So she was smoking crack. It wasn't meth. She came here to smoke crack. And she has heroin, but she didn't shoot up here. So I'm learning how to, like, I'm not just sitting around, I'm studying. Like, I'm not just sitting here, brother. I'm studying. What psychics do is that when somebody comes into their presence, because everything is just the present moment, time isn't real. Quantum physicists have said time isn't real. It's relative for this incarnation so that our fifth dimensional being could isolate a moment in time to allow a smaller version of ourselves to have free will and guide the multiverse to see where they end up. It's like when you play a game. When that happens, we have all these souls that are doing all this stuff and driving around different places and have all these decisions. They have all these different relationships. They have all this different stuff with the spiritual realms and higher level realities. When they show up, they have things that are around their spirit in their presence. So all the psychic does is just when somebody comes into the present, in the present moment, all they do is just, they're able to see all the different things that are around that person at that time. Because there's no such thing as the future, there's no such thing as the past. It's all different present moments. You're just not in that present moment at that time. But it's still happening alongside you. That time is the separation between it. The illusion of time is what keeps us not from completely blending together back into an infinite one being. That's what the 666 is. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 6-hour cycles. And then 6-month cycles. So all the psychic does is just when somebody comes into my presence, I can see all the different stuff that's coming out of her, around the person. So I can see, like, ancestry. I'm getting better at, like, on certain days, on 11 days, I'm very good at clocking ancestry. That's how I can tell when there are real people and there are people that are just completely gone and it's a dark snake that's up their back and then guiding their mind and causing them to look around like this. Constantly trying to make everyone submit and take the power from the environment. No. Nah, I'm not that good. It's more like somebody walks up next to me and then all of a sudden I see a bunch of, like, Germanic tribes or Vikings or Africans or Jamaicans, and I can see the smell of how it smelled. I can see the colors that they like. I can see if they have, like, a bad relationship attached to their back, if they have, like, an abusive boyfriend. I can tell, like, pretty quickly if they had an abusive father as a child. Um I haven't really gotten to the point, and I think that something literally won't let me open my third eye, because then I'd be able to probably figure out very quickly, because I'm brave enough now, I've been through enough, it won't scare me for me to open up my mind, and then all of a sudden there's all these different star systems communicating with me, and they look like the most grotesque thing you've ever seen, all these different amalgamations of cells that have evolved to be able to astral project and transmit their consciousness across the multiverse. It wouldn't scare me now. So I think when I get to that point, I'm just brave enough that I would be able to get in, figure it out, and then end everything. And I would just be outside. And I think that that's why we have red cars that are constantly following me. We have red cars that will slow down and pass me slowly. The guy's just staring at me like this. I don't know if those are people that have succumbed and then something just, you have to go to the gas station, go to the gas station, go to the gas station. You'll love it. You'll love it. It'll be amazing. Trigger a little bit of dopamine to get the addiction going. They're like, oh, I need to go to the gas station. Just so that once they pass me on the gas station, and there are more, and they're all staring at me like this. And then I have to joust them for my own focus. Then, and it's Virgo season, so it's a lot harder for Sagittarius. But, because of the stagnant, dormant. I don't know if that's somebody being puppeted, or I don't know if I'm in a holographic simulation, and those are just like extras that a developer just spawned a mob. Like you can spawn a creeper in somebody's Minecraft server to fuck them up. I think some of these guys are mobs or game devs in disguise, playing a high-level game. Yes, me, I will cash that check. But you have to understand, so what Bashar teaches, because I've been listening to Bashar, I don't think Bashar is completely what he says he is. sometimes Bashar, if you go to his past videos, because he's been doing this for 40 years, Bashar has been like an alien coming through to wake up humanity for 40 years. So I went back to his earlier stuff, and his earlier stuff, people are like, Bashar never stumbles. He always has this profound wisdom. It's like it's coming straight from something else. You go back 20 years, and he's stumbling. It's not an alien that's operating outside of time and space. I think it still is, but I think at the same time there were other things happening. Like sometimes he channels Anubis, and he goes, go through the river Styx. Open your mind and go through the river Styx, and we will be waiting. You know, like that sounds a little bit masturbatory. I don't know if an ancient god would talk like that. I don't know if an ancient god would go, you need to go through the river Styx and open up your mind, and we'll be waiting for you. But I think the stuff that he says about operating outside of space and time and an oversoul that spreads down like roots of a tree down through millions of different versions of us across the infinite that made different choices, and that there's a higher being that's operating outside of space and time that's all of those little versions of us combined into the actual existence that we have that chose to play this game, and that humanity's a collective consciousness outside of that. There's a base system outside of our souls that's around us. It's constantly in communication with everything because everything is conscious. And that there are other things like us out there that either their civilization like Earth failed, technology took over, they fucked up. So they're trying to save themselves by projecting themselves down here so that their failed race can come in and get the right candidates, teach us the right things to change our genetic structure, to be easier for them to amalgamate with because they're going down. They failed. So they're trying to hop in us and use their spiritual tethers, all their ancestry, to come through with hybrids, with humans, so that we can keep going. And they don't have to just get done. Their collective consciousness can now interlink with us, and then we both grow into something different and we keep going. I think that that's pretty real. I think that that would explain why he might be an alien transmitting through, and that the way that he talks, when he talks like this, and then when the women come up, he just pushes them back. Like women come up and they're like, I feel like this way, and he's like, I don't like the way that he talks to all the old ladies in the group, man. But he'd be pimping sometimes, man. He'd be pimping. I hate to say, but get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, brother. Yeah. I think that that's real. You're welcome. So guess what? Someone came up to me 2 days ago and said, I was in a gas station. I was at, yeah, so basically you just have a higher mind that it wants to keep you disconnected from. Because when you connect to your higher mind, it raises your frequency so much that the sickness leaves your body and you can no longer be controlled by everything outside of you. Because everything is internal and reality is structured around that. So they're just trying to keep you from your inner world. And then you realize that you've always been able to operate outside of space and time and you exist for a reason. Because if the universe didn't need you, you wouldn't be here. So what was I saying? Oh, somebody came up and said, they saw this. They saw my bear shirt. Hold up. They saw this bear shirt that I just found one day. It's California bear shirt. 2022, which adds up to 6. And then I have my jacket that's the M6 with the eagle with 3 sets of wings. And it's got all this Freemasonic stuff inside that I just found one day. So if anyone's new, we had a UFO show up tonight. And something had told me, like, I was sitting out by myself. There was a bunch of people twitching around me, but I was still sitting there trying to not let it affect me. and talk to something else, like let my thoughts come to me, let my daydreams happen. And I just put out a thought like, can I get a UFO? I think I'm ready. And they said, if you're ready, we'll give you one tonight. Something. And then tonight on the live stream, we had a bunch of it. So I told you that in Vermont we have things that look like stars, and they're right there with all the stars, and then it will just slowly move over to a different neighborhood and then stop, and then slowly move to another neighborhood and then stop. I'm getting Bitcoin data collection. We just had like 6 of them. I don't know how many I said. It was like 9 or 10 probably, and they came in a straight line directly down from the sky. So you think that they're Starlink, and you think that they're at an orbit in a straight line just going through. But then I looked and they were down. They were at the tree line. And then they moved sideways like this. And then they moved over to that mountain. And they're just sitting there. And then my whole thing picked up. You guys saw, there's nobody here now. But then you saw the whole simulation got active. There's tons of people here suddenly. And then all the red cars drove really slowly and were like staring at me like this. And now it's quiet again. So I think 1, I led you guys through that. 2, it was the Matrix responding. 3, I think I co-created it because I have this vibe. And now people have been through so much that people that watch this regularly now, when they get active, that also sets it off a little bit, I think. And also, look at all these people that have never heard anything like this in their life. All these 50-year-old people that have had things like this in the back of their head. They feel what's going on, but they've never had somebody to tell them. And now they have a stranger that they've never met show up in the small town where everybody knows each other. Somebody that they don't know is suddenly bringing them all this new information into their community network. Am I handsome? Am I handsome enough? It's handsome enough that the local rednecks get really pissed and they get really mad. And then they show up in their trucks and they're just like I'll make eye contact with a girl driving down the road. And her boyfriend's driving, and I just look to see what the car is speeding down the road in a loud ass truck. And I look and there's a 6 out of 10. And she makes eye contact with me, and I'm an empath, so I can see she likes me. The way she's looking at me, she likes me. I can see that she's not happy in a relationship, and she's never seen people outside the city, and this is someone she hasn't seen in a long time because nobody comes through here. This is like one of those towns you get stuck in forever. She's like eyeing me. Suddenly that guy's back with his gun, stomping around, screaming at himself, spitting his tobacco. Like, where the fuck is he? Or in Brattleboro, we had 18-year-old loser kids that are hooked on pills. And then the local girl would see me driving by the car, and then I'd get a screenshot of his gun in my Instagram DM. He said, "You're going to feel what this tastes like. Pull up. Where are you right now?" And I'm like, "I'm at 10 Canal Street. I'm a block away from you. This is a small town. What are you going to do?" And he's like, "Bro's talking to me while I'm having a party." You just sent me a picture of your gun. You're flexing you're at a party. You just asked me to where I was so you can pull up. I gave you the location. Now you're like, this guy's on my dick. What the fuck? He's a bitch. Later he did bath salts, and now he's fucked up. His dreams of music died, and now he's working for FedEx. He was a talented artist. So I kept going on the music trajectory, and then I got around the top guys in Brattleboro, and I was on their live stream. Coincidentally, all these kids from Brattleboro were looking up to this guy named Real Ricky. They would watch his lives religiously, thinking he was like this top rapper from this out-of-place city that they've never been to at the northern Vermont when they're from southern Vermont. And then he's just talking like there's coincidentally a trans black woman from Brattleboro with mental illness is coming up screaming, having a regular Brattleboro moment where they can scream and kill people with hatchets and burn people's houses down and all the shit that happens in my hometown. All this crazy stuff because we have the oldest insane asylum in the country that's constantly pumping in and funneling these people to our tiny town. She was just having a Brattleboro moment. And Real Ricky was like, what the fuck is this? His live stream was like looking at her. He's like a city dude. He was like, what the fuck is happening? What is this? And they're like going back and forth. He's thinking it's content. They're talking to each other. And then I came out with a bat in my backpack, and I had a nice black coat with a bunch of embroidered golden birds, and I had Tim's on, and I had a machete with a belt, a machete at my hip that I would use to defend against these crackheads living out there. I was like suited up in a suit of armor, and I had a hat with a crown on, and I was standing like this, buff as fuck. And I came out of the forest. It was like, you guys should kiss. And then he turns the camera to me, and all the people from my hometown watching saw me like that, standing at the top of a hill in a full suit of armor, basically, with literal weapons, emerging from the forest, surrounded by a bunch of kids. And I'm like, you guys should fucking kiss. I had like 20 people unfollow me on Instagram that instant. All these jealous pieces of shit. As soon as I showed up on the famous guy's stream, and he liked me, he wanted to talk to me. Later, he did the ego check stuff, the hood stuff. He was trying to be hood, whatever. And then, like, a week later, he showed up out of his mind on drugs, like, having his spiritual experience where he woke up to everything. And I was in the woods with my computer, freestyling and making beats. So imagine for this guy who wants to be a famous rapper and loves the craft, for him to disassociate from everything that he's ever known, get really confused and scared, he doesn't know what to do, runs out into the forest, and he finds the guy in the suit of armor with a computer out in the middle of the woods, hitting the thing and just constant freestyling, and he heard me from the tree line. I looked over and he was right there, and I was like, I knew it. And I kept going. A week later, he put out the best work he's ever done. He hasn't been able to make a song that good since, because he was copying the experience of what I inspired him to give. He copied the vibe that I set. And that's the case for, like, I don't know, like 100 different people that you could find on YouTube with over 20,000 subscribers that I've had that moment with. Cops target handsome drug dealers and let the ugly sell dope. It's Chelsea. I wish I was a drug dealer, man. I think I can definitely see that some of them do. It is definitely jealousy. I think it has something to do with my jawline. Because when I feel like I have more jaw and more confidence, and then it gives me a foundation that I open myself up, and I start to try to open my third eye, and then they're suddenly there, and they're trying to rope me into a bunch of different narrative stuff that have karmic ties and get me trapped in my own mind, where they're trying to siphon and farm me. But I chalk that up to white people. I think that's a product of white culture. Here we have a spider. Should we burn it? Is this a brown recluse? Appreciate that technique. He died before he could feel the burn. So I'm down to do some numerology readings. I'm down to help people with some life problems if you got some life problems in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking. I'm probably the one guy that understands what you're going through. If you got stuff that you're dealing with that nobody understands, I probably have some good insight that could help you get back on track. I don't think you're sick. I don't think there's something wrong with you. I think you might be misguided. And I think that you might be gaslit and traumatized psychologically into not understanding how to be yourself again. And then once you learn how to be yourself again, that's the whole point of this whole simulation, is to find out who you really are. And when you find out who you really are, it's just being able to embody that and shine your light and show off how cool you are to the world. And then once you get there, then you can learn and grow and do more things with that. You heard me? Then you can do more things because you learn social skills. You don't fall into social conditioning and fight to be someone that fits in better because you can do all these different tools to slowly farm light from everybody and build your reputation. It's more like you overpower everything and you know how to operate respectfully. But that could just be because I'm a 33 life path. Everyone on the internet is telling me I'm a demigod. And I would be more powerful than the other demigods because I was born on the 11th. And then I'll be more powerful than those people born on the 11th because I have Rh negative blood on both sides. And then even more powerful because I have the Brian Baru blood of giants. That's just me, man. I don't think schizophrenia is real. I think that there's something more spiritual about schizophrenia that hasn't been addressed on the planet yet. And I think that that's why in Miami, you get a $2,500 reward for turning yourself in quotation marks, as a bipolar schizophrenic. If you live in Miami and you turn yours to be in a study of schizophrenics, you get $2,500 if they can throw tons of different tests, take your blood, put different things in your blood to see how you react and monitor you for their own agenda. You get $2,500 because there's a good chance that they could fuck you up forever. Every schizophrenic I know, they fall into narcissism and pride because their mind doesn't fit well into the system and they've been degraded so much that they don't have a personality, so that they fall into narcissism because they've had to fight back against what would be considered dominance games in the animal kingdom. Everybody wants to gaslight them and torture them and fuck with them and ruin their insides, and then they have this higher perception of that, and that seems unfair to them, and then they're trapped and don't know what to do about it, which causes depression. And then they just slowly either they have to persevere, they have to develop this narcissistic character that has to fight forever, trying to figure out how to fit in and ascend past it and work in the community. And if they do that enough, then they become leaders, and if not, they become the wandering schizophrenic screaming at themselves. It's an extremely challenging life. So if I had it, you should all give me awards and commend me for my bravery, that I made it this far. Because if I did have schizophrenia, if I wasn't a psychic and I was a schizophrenic, then look how far I've come. I got a six-pack. I got muscles. I'm a positive member of the community that everywhere I go, I leave it better than I found it in the internal structures of their minds and relationships. I bring people to outside of their group think social paradigms and connect them back to the Most High. And they have these crying experiences that change their whole perspective for the rest of their life. Right? I think Lady Indica should quit weed. And I think you should fast to get sunlight. And then you're able to control your high off of the natural energy that's being produced by the trees, instead of submitting yourself to something that opens up more than you can handle. Can't Weed does a lot of shit. And something I found with weed is that when they're done with weed and they process and literally cannibalize and convert themselves spiritually, they come back and they seem down and depressed. They might be chill, but they're not emanating this natural joy that happens when you don't smoke weed. There's this natural presence and this natural light that emanates out of everybody when they don't smoke weed. That when they smoke weed, they become aware of it. They start to convert it for focus. They're able to learn and change their spirit, and they can change. But for the most part, when I walk by them, they become twitching empty vessels that need then they smoke the weed, and then they'll start to steal the energy from everybody around them and convert that for a little bit of a high, ride that high for power games, and then they leave, leaving everybody drained. Whereas the people that don't have any of those types of thoughts at all. And we can all tell when there's a weed smoker that enters the chat, enters the vicinity. If we're all out in the woods and there's a weed smoker, we can tell because the way that they stand, the rigidity of them, this almost solidity, but there's no real happiness emanating. Everything they do is calculated, and then they need weed to start. Before they start to enjoy the experience, they need the weed because then they can feel comfortable with what they're doing. And it's mostly just a tug at everybody else's spirit. But that's, for most people, it does give them an opportunity to raise their awareness back. Some people need it. Bruh. Everybody's different. I know none of these psychics smoke weed. Like the people that do tarot readings and do all this stuff. Yeah, rotten fruits. Bruh, 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 bruh. Bitch. So if anybody has any problems they need me to solve, or any stuff that they're dealing with in life, that life isn't going the way that they want it, and there's something holding them back, what you want in life wants you. What's meant for you is coming. But for the most part, everybody's got all this extra shit stuck on them that's pushing that away. Everything that you want is trying to come to you, but you have shit that's pushing it away. Your belief systems, feeling like you don't deserve it, taking bad actions in the wrong direction that make you feel worse about yourself. That when you change those habits to positivity and you open up the belief that maybe you deserve it and maybe it is for you and everything you want, not really a sense of entitlement that other people don't deserve it and you deserve it, but more like just you're ready to enjoy the experience. If you can hold that long enough, which is very difficult in today's world, because you obviously care about other people, and other people are constantly projecting their problems outward. If you can, with humility, be able to just do what you need to do and then go out somewhere by yourself to enjoy it, have a creative hobby, and then come in just to kind of make it better. Just like try to have fun. Make life enjoyable without trying to like stunt on everybody else. Then it shows up and everything comes to you. For me personally, I think that I might be doing it at such a higher level that something gets really upset about that. Like we have a cop car right now slowly driving by me. And now we have a red truck slowly driving by me. And the red truck pulled in, shined the lights at me. I don't know if that hit the camera. It pulled in just to shine at me, and then it slowly left, and the guy was staring at me like this. So I don't know why I'm specifically getting so much backlash and these like kind of it's like the something is posturing at me in a way that only I would understand. Like fucking with me. And I've shown you guys so many times on the live stream that it's a sequence of events that happens with crows, red cars, then crackheads, cops, corruption, and then sometimes I have to kill, like I have to fight for my life. And I can recognize that there's something that happens with this peace of mind I'm talking about. Something really doesn't like that I'm sharing this stuff. I don't know why Bashar is allowed to. I don't know why Ralph Smart is allowed to. I don't know why all these other people are allowed to be in that position to talk like this. And they don't have all this stuff. I don't know what deal they made with anything that makes it so they don't have to be in this battlefield. But for some reason I have it. Yeah. In short, yeah. I think that weed isn't good for you. I think that the earth makes medicinal plants, but I think that for the most part with weed, my life got fucked up as soon as I smoked weed. When I put weed into my system, I was able to grow out in a certain way that I was able to convert myself and change myself, and I was able to take in more knowledge and do more with it. But at the end of the day, I was just like basically sacrificing my own spirit. Like all this energy that I would put in and channel to songs, it was like I was also consuming myself and sacrificing myself. that when I don't smoke weed, it comes to me a lot more natural. Where it's like I wake up in the morning and I just have infinite abundance all the time. And it takes like an entire simulation of an entire like matrix of constant cars and constant violence, psychological trauma, disintegrating and destroying my family members and my loved ones and causing them to do things that hurt me. Kind of like when Jesus said, when these things happen, they're not happening to you. They're not mad at you when you have these demonic attacks and these angry people in your life. They're not angry with you. They're angry at me. They're targeting me. What that means basically is Christ consciousness 33 is higher, the age of Aquarius, the water bringer, this higher level of information outside of this third dimensional reality, the higher dimensional stuff, all this knowledge, all this presence, all this light, all this greatness, your higher self, all of your oversoul, all this stuff that comes through when are a spiritual person and you follow certain paradigms and you structure yourself in a certain way to house a certain energy that's very positive. They're after that because I don't think that they can get that, or I think that they might be designed specifically just to be a challenge. Like before I went on this live, I saw right before I hit live, I was scrolling and there was that video from the new Jesus TV show where there was a guy on a boat and he was screaming at Jesus and there was a giant flood coming, a giant wave, and they were out in the ocean somewhere and he was like, I gave my whole life to you, bro. I had faith in you. I fought for you. I suffered for you for years. It's been like 6 years and I've been here and I see you healing all these other people and you're leaving me sick in the back of the boat. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why don't you just heal me so I can do more? And Jesus was like, don't you know I'm making you stronger? Keep having faith in me. Keep having faith in me and be sick because it's making you stronger. It's making your energy more potent because you're suffering. You're focusing on all this stuff you don't have. And you have faith in me. Because you're so suffering so much and I keep you sick, you're constantly producing all this high vibrational light. Have faith in me. That's what he was screaming at him. And then when he finally gave up and he couldn't, he was like, fuck this. And he drowned and his last words were like, save me. I'm drowning. I can't do it. I can't tread anymore. Then Jesus was like, oh, fuck. Lifted him up and put him on the boat. He's like, you're healed. You know how fucked up that is? Imagine if I had somebody and I had a medicine in my pocket. Coleman Brown, keep jerking off. One day your dad will be proud of you, but right now nobody here is. We think you're so pathetic. Look at you. What a fucking loser. Scrolling on TikTok live or YouTube live just to say shit like that. Nobody gives a fuck, bro. I would hate to be you. So imagine if you had a medicine that could heal somebody from their sickness, but if they healed, they would no longer be able to feed you positive emotional energy. Imagine they had like a tube that was feeding you so you could be more powerful. Because they were sick. That's one way to see it. Another way to see it is that Jesus knew at some point he would falter. But because of all the suffering that he went through, because Jesus kept him sick and trudging forward with faith, that was making him stronger. He was having to fight spiritual battles against himself every day. He was having to beat out a sickness and keep trudging forward. It was helping his focus. It was helping his strength. It was helping his willpower to keep up and keep going. So Jesus healed the other people because he's like, I'm not going to be able to work with you. I'll heal you and you can go off, and if you fuck up, you fuck up. We're going this way. But this guy, with him that wanted to devote himself to Jesus, knew. So I can recognize I've done shit like that for my friends. I've done shit like that for my friends. I knew that there were things that they needed to learn in order to actually ride with me. So I wouldn't teach them how to get girls. I wouldn't teach them how to work out. I wouldn't teach them anything that I had to offer because they weren't ready to. I knew that they would take it and go in the wrong direction with it. So I kept them around as a reference experience, literally like a sick dog. I brought them to Boston. I went to a bar. I did all this stuff. But every time that they tried to learn from me, I just shut down. I sat in the back and let them embarrass themselves in front of the girls. And then when they gave up, then I would go in and take them and we'd go somewhere else. So they knew what I had to, they saw me in action. They knew I had all this stuff. But I was like, how long can you stay around me before you give up? How devoted are you actually to learning from me? Because I'm not going to teach you anything until you get rid of all that bullshit. And then the people that I just was like, fuck it, Grace is giving people more than they deserve. And I just dumped everything like I'm dumping here. Every single one of them fucked up and failed and went in the wrong direction and ruined a lot of other people's lives because of it. So you definitely need to have certain initiations and you need to come correct to be able to have these experiences I'm talking about. I really can't, like, what theories do you guys have about why the black cars drive fine, the blue cars drive fine, the yellow cars drive fine, the green cars drive fine, the teal cars, the gray cars, they all drive fine, same speed, but then the red cars slow down and they are all staring at me like this and then slowly peel off, and I feel a tug at my energy and I feel a ringing in my ears and I feel this dense pressure. And it's happened, like, go back through my videos, it happens all the time. All the time. Especially in when I had first broken down outside Randolph. When I first started really making the YouTube videos every day. That was an everyday thing. They would follow me through town. Everywhere that I went, they were behind me. In the video confronting my gang stalkers, they both showed up one day. Like, all the people that I thought were gang stalkers, at one point I woke up and they were all just surrounding me, all these random different people from different places around the area that I was like, I keep seeing them. Why are they doing this? I'm just keep going, trying to figure shit out. And then all of them. Shut up, John. I've seen you in the chat before, so I'm not going to ban you forever. I might just put you in timeout. So today, I was an 11-day, so I prepared for the 11-day. I went out to the waterfront, and I sat in my tent. I have it connected to a branch, so that the tent's like a nest. I sleep in the nest. It's great. I wake up. I'm not even going to read what you said, brother. You're gone. Keep jerking off. One day your dad will be proud of you, but we're not. We think you're fucking pathetic, brother. So I sat there at peace. I had a great time in the tent. It was wrapped up like a nest. I've always slept in a nest my whole life. I had a cardboard box on my bed that I slept in, and I felt like a nest. I would put my clothes in, and I just am comfortable in a nest. I don't know why, but I always, like, when I'd go to parties and there'd be, like, bad bitches around me, having the time of my life, I would pass out in the laundry, and I would curl up like a nest. You feel me? So, I got out. I woke up. I felt a pull, like I woke up and immediately clocked there was somebody in the area fishing. So I was like, okay, he's fishing. He's trying to have a good time. Let me sit back. And then I started to feel raped. I started to feel like all this stuff hit my consciousness and start to like impregnate me with like shitty vibes and horrible shit. And it's a horrible experience for anybody. All the empaths deal with it. I was having trouble fighting back against it because of everything I've been through lately and pushing back and doing stuff. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, why is this happening? I opened the tent and the guy is just standing there. And he's got a red shirt with black that's got a bear on it. And he wouldn't leave me alone for 2 hours. And then finally, when I felt like everything had just gotten killed and I felt empty and lifeless, he got up like he was the king of the world and he stomped around me again. Stomped around me. And then I left to never be seen again. So I was like, fuck, I can't give up. So I just tried to piece it back together. I tried to breathe. I tried to drink some Arizona iced tea. all this stuff that I do that tries to make me feel better so I can get back in and gain the confidence again and keep pushing forward. It took me like 3 hours, and I finally got some semblance of back where I was going to guide the 11 day where it's more powerful to try to steer myself back in the right direction. And then immediately a dog shows up and hits me in the face. And then the dog rubbed itself on me and got its fucking saliva in my nose, in my mouth, just trying to dominate me like a dog, like dogs dominate each other. And then I look up and it's just a fat white bitch with a camera, and she's recording me. Fed her dog a treat, and then they left. So I was like, fuck. Now I feel emasculated. I feel ruined. I feel like the dog stole everything. Every time I try to bring it back, the dog shows up again. And I'm like, am I going to punch this dog in the face and seem like a schizophrenic? Even though we all know what he's doing, but the white people are like, do it. We're going to keep pretending like it's not real so that we can fuck you up with narrative stuff like calling our friend to go get you trespassed. We're not going to talk about it, but we're going to do it. So I was like, fuck. So I just sat there again, and it took me another like hour and a half. I finally got I felt it again. I felt it going. I opened my phone and played one of my songs to try to restructure it and try to make it better and try to make something, change the writing of it, try to make it a better experience. And then I felt the drain, and I looked up, and it was a proud white man with sunglasses just standing over me like this in the middle of the forest, looking around like he owned the place. And I felt it rip. I don't do drugs. I'm the highest form of empath possible on the planet. The girls you jerk off to want me. But they want me for spiritual reasons, so I don't do it anymore. Yes, me, I think everything's different. I think your simulation's probably different than mine. I think you live in a city and I don't. So it's less connection to nature, more easily controllable. I haven't seen a TV screen or a computer screen in 8 months. I have my phone screen that I mostly just use for Spotify, and I listen to music. I know that Kai Cenat and Ray got together when KC 33 and Ray got stuck and lost in a place, and some guy named Ray came to help me. Then I saw Casey Rocket got together with Adam Ray. So there's Casey and Ray, Casey, and then I have like 7 different Rays that have helped me this year. All this stuff, like even with my first girlfriend, there was a guy named Ray that was dating her friend, and he would show up all the time. One of my best friends that would show up when I had my Truman Show wake up moment, and he would show up like Truman Show's friend to try to guide him back into the simulation and gaslight him and steal his power, and then try to fuck his girlfriend. I had a friend like that, my only friend at the time. He was the only person that showed up for me after I got stuck in public housing with what I thought was a brain injury. The only person that showed up was this horrible snaky guy that would literally psychologically and spiritually torment me and test it out. He tried to put a camera in my house. He tried to put a camera in my house to watch me and my girlfriend have sex and just to watch to see what I do. And then he would come in and try to like fuck me up. And then I ended up giving him that spiritual experience, and he cried, and then he ran away. Him and his girlfriend left Vermont and moved to Arizona. Now they're on the Native American reservation. When I woke him up to the corruption of his ways and what he was actually doing unconsciously. And it scared him so much he left. He left Vermont because he realized how fucked up it is here. And now he's safely in the Native American reservation. He no longer is this creep. And now he's with a girl. He took her virginity, and she's an uggo. But she's very spiritual, and they're doing all right. But if you provided value, if this provided any value for you, man, my Cash App's in my description of my channel. Anything goes towards getting me a guitar so I can sit outside and play guitar. We have one main donator that gives me money every week and I feel horrible. And I texted Brian and told him, like, don't feel obligated to send me any more money. You guys have given me enough. I'm in this position because I'm not, there's something I'm doing wrong, or it has to be this way. Like, something is consistently fucking up my phones, my clothes, my tent, everything. So the money that I'm trying to save, I either have to give that up, but it might be too late now. Back then I was like, I just need to get to safety, so I'll replace the things that broke or got flooded or ruined. I'll go to McDonald's and get some comfort food and sit there and try to make my songs. I'll do the stuff that I thought was helping me keep going. But I could have just lived out and suffered and grown some food in the woods, and then I'd have like 2 grand by now, but I didn't. So I said, don't feel obligated to send me anything else. But now that I have, I mean, I might be leaving soon. I'm probably gonna leave soon. I flipped my coin. Guess what, guys? I'm gonna get out my Native American coin that I got, that I just found one day. I bought this shirt off Temu from a Chinese factory because it looks like Vermont. It's got the flannel. It's nice. I like wearing it. Inside of the pocket was a 1936 Native American buffalo coin. And now I have this shirt that's got a bear on it, and I found a bear paw necklace. Isn't that crazy? So you think these guys are real or not? You think these people that enter my chat are real, or do you think that they're just like an AI? Do I have any food? There's a dollar store here, so food isn't as hard to come by now as it was before. Because there's a dollar store here, so I can get the same stuff I was spending 20 bucks on to get me 3 days worth of food. Now I can spend about 7 bucks. But we had a lot of floods in Vermont. So the areas that I was in, trucks weren't able to get to. Money, like everything got more expensive. It was like 8 bucks for a gallon of water. And the other water had shit in it, and it was like spewing out all the crap from the floods. So I wasn't able to get food that much. And I was trying to build muscle and shit. I was trying to look better because I thought if I looked better, the content would be better, and more people would watch, and then I would be more impactful, and then maybe I could get a job as an actor or a model or something. Somebody would find me scrolling. So I bought a bunch of McDonald's, and I would just take that HGH, human growth hormone, in the fucking beef. Kim, I think you've already asked me what my story was. We've already had someone named Kim come into my chat and ask me what my story was. If you're the same person, if not, there's a synchronicity for you. There's a motif in my narrative that Kim has now asked me twice. Exactly. They didn't even, with the same no apostrophe. My story's long, intense, and very cool. Didn't Kim? At 8 years old, I was born without a face. Yeah, people say I look like if they put every single handsome guy together from the 2010s. If they put them all into one person. John Mayer, Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Chris Pratt, Brad Pitt. If they all squished them into one, that's what I'd be. But my life has been so horribly traumatizing, and I lived in so much isolation that I can't recognize that I'm a human being. Like it doesn't even hit, like it doesn't hit me. I don't. You think that if people that was like everyone was like, you're so handsome, you're very attractive, I'd have some type of ego about it. No, if you can't, don't. I'm talking to, there are people that scroll on here that are architects. that are surgeons and doctors that live in nice houses and they can go stay at resorts every month. There are OnlyFans creators that are millionaires. There's people that have it and don't need it. That they find me because I embody the thing that they gave up when they did their bad stuff. You feel me? I don't know what a NEET is. You were a NEET? From the age of 16, you're 25. I'm 24. So your brain is made up of DHA, omega-3 fatty acids. If you have brain damage or drug brain, and you get into a ketogenic state from fasting, that dragon's breath in the back of your throat, all you have to do is do these shoulder rolls, build up that lactic acid. That mixes with the ketones from ketosis, this like very fatty jet fuel instead of sugar. It creates this jet fuel out of your own fat cells. Then, when you get the blood pumping and that mixes together, just jump into a cold shower. It's going to be very intense and it's going to be a horrible experience because you're going to realize all the stuff that trauma and settling has caused you to do, and then you can shoot it up into your brain. You're already in an autophagic apoptosis state where your body's designed to eat itself and eat the damaged cells first for sustenance. So it's going through already and curing the cancer, and it's already eating the parasites and the bacteria and the damaged cells. It's just when you get that blood through, it's going to push all the garbage in there back through your bloodstream. It's going to get back so that it can be eaten easier. It's going to get it closer around your body so that you can start to do that. You're going to feel more presence. It's going to activate your nervous system because a lot of the stuff like COVID and all this stuff is targeting the back of your neck and the spine so that you lose connection with your lower body. So your presence will come back. You just keep doing that over and over again as a practice, and then take in multivitamins and protein. You quit weed. I don't think cigarettes are that bad. I think since I started smoking cigarettes, my facial hair has started growing a lot more, and I thought I was never gonna have any facial hair for my life, but as soon as I started smoking cigarettes and sleeping on the ground, my testosterone is through the roof. I talk with a bass naturally now that makes people uncomfortable because nobody can do it. So when you smoke weed, if you're a man smoking weed, it makes you into a woman. Smoking weed makes you gay. I hate to say it. Smoking weed makes you gay, brother. Smoking weed is a feminine medicine. Smoking weed gives you this feminine spirit. And that's why everything is so overwhelming and vivid, and you can experience things so much better. Because I doubt it, bro. I doubt it. Oh my God, brother. Look at this guy. No capping in my chat, bro. You're gone forever. You notice that as my vibration rose, he got worse. Sleeping on the ground does give you ions. I don't know. I think it's less the ground and more the mycelial network underneath it with the ground. I think all the ions stuff, it's more that when you're falling asleep, because you can't, if you put a bunch of dirt in your house, it wouldn't do much. But yeah, there's definitely a couple surgeons and a couple architects. Yes, me, don't do that, and don't be homeless in a bad spot like that. If she's still here. I'm mostly trying to no, my phone died. My phone died, so I'm about here. I'm by the charger. My phone died. So I don't know if I get. We know that it's happened so many times that I get to a spot where I can ask for confirmation from the universe. if I'm on the right path and making the right decision, and they work with me all the time. I've learned now that animals are just as intelligent as we are, but they don't have all the bullshit of social interaction and TV. So it doesn't seem like they're as smart as us because their intelligence is focused and they're pure. So when you have experiences with animals, they're mostly just in a position that they can reflect back what you're looking for. So like you walk around with all these themes and all these things that you're exploring, all these things that you're learning about in life. So that when you see animals, they can see that clear as day. So they don't mind just kind of reflecting it back. That's why like I had that buck in the forest. And that's why sometimes bears will just kind of walk by and they don't bother me at all. Sometimes I'll throw a sandwich to a bear and it sits there. That's why bears can play like a harmonica and chill out with Russians, and they help them dance around and they're having fun. And sometimes bears are vicious and aggressive. It's because the person that came to that bear had certain things around him that the bear could see. So the bear was reflecting back to the person what he was looking for. You feel me? That's why you see like foxes and skunks hanging out and all this stuff, because the world is conscious and it's all aware. And we had that big conscious awakening in 2020, that all that planetary also on the 28th there was another big planetary conjunction. That's why it changed. That's why everything changed very quickly back then, a couple days ago, because it was able to shoot through different energies that affected the collective conscious of this system we've built. So if I get like a lot of confirmation that I should go back and get all my stuff from the tents and like organize it, get my like my nice coat if it's still there, all the stuff I couldn't take with me to come here. I was trying to get a phone and then the person just stopped talking to me. I came all this way, like 40 miles, to get this phone so that I could continue on, and then as soon as I got here, they just went dark. It was like they roped me to this horrible place, and then as soon as I got here, the thing that I was looking for just stopped, and I got stuck again. So if I go back and I head somewhere else, if not, I will sleep today, and then I'll go through another day, and then pack all my stuff up, and then leave tomorrow on Friday. Today is Friday. Today's Friday and it's the 30th. Um, I mean, my bike is fixed. I also came here to fix the bike, so I got the bike fixed. That had to happen. I did fix the bike. Now I have this nice bike. So that's a positive. I never feel better leaving these live streams. I've never put out a piece of content like an offering that I gave to the public and then felt better afterwards. And all these spiritual gurus and the people that go on stage and talk to people and do all this stuff to better society, they're mostly saying that, like, yeah, we do give ourselves a position of nothing so that we can take in the energy of other people and then convert it for them for what they're looking for. And I don't know if I like that. I like just making the art, and I'm not in a position to bring it to the highest quality possible. That's the whole problem, is that I was trying to get in a position to do more, and then the world just gets harder and harder. But I think I'm happy with my progress. I definitely like see people that were like earlier versions of me, like where I was at 6 months ago, I run into, or I'll go back and look at my content and see where I was now that I've learned more. I'm a lot more proud of who I am now than who I was. So, I mean, if anything, this showed me how bad society is and how another example of a place I don't want to end up at. So hopefully when I finally find my place, I have all these different reference experience to be grateful for what I'm in. Because I've seen so much bad now that when I finally wind up in the town that I'm supposed to be in, unless I'm supposed to fight and I'm supposed to go back to my hometown and clear shit up because they're getting consumed by crackheads and prejudice and the hood's coming in and we have a bunch of kids that are pretending like they're from that now, that are dealing drugs and doing drugs, and they have a gun and they think that they had that life, but they've never been in Albany. They've never been to a city they don't know, or the people that have been so far away from that they don't have it anymore, and they're just holding on to a character, the identity that at one point they were in that life, and now they're not, and they're not adjusting well to it. So we have a bunch of pretenders that are enforcing the idea that we're not all just trying to hang out at the river and have fun. So we have tons of that. And then we have a Russian billionaire that just bought up the whole town, possibly killing other business owners to take the land. And then we have a wildfire that's headed straight for the state. Eventually that wildfire is going to get here. And I don't think we have enough firefighters to, like in the cities, they're having trouble. Cities full of firefighters are having trouble stopping it. I don't know what happens when the wildfire gets to all these small towns. We also just had a bunch of floods that destroyed everything. So the state is fucked. And I'm just sitting here at a river, drinking Stars and Stripes cola and smoking natural tobacco, fighting off the problems as they come to me. Trying to change these people that are basically like turned to monsters. And this is the situation I'm in right now is a lot like the situation a couple years ago when my mom told the police I was trying to kill her when I was trying to charge my car battery, and they showed up and did a whole bunch of shit that's like psychologically fucked me up for a long time. When I was in jail, I saw a vision of myself dying, and at least I thought I was dying. And then everything changed after that. So like my 3D version died, and then it was a way different experience after that. The next thing that I saw was completely different. So I'm sort of in that position that I was in that vision. Like, I'm not going to say it. I want to keep it sacred, but it's looking a lot like how that went, where I thought I died. And then everything became like an afterlife scenario where I didn't have like a character or an identity. I was a spirit. And then the whole simulation was different. The whole experience was different. I don't know, Yesmi, you seem really, you got some problems, Yesmi. You got some problems. If I didn't have so much shit I was dealing with right now, I'd be able to articulate what the issue is and offer a solution and try to bring you back up. But for the most part, it's just that everything outside is probably a result of something that's happening inside. It does seem like it's challenging. I'm kind of the same way lately. Like, I've been coming to that same conclusion where I'm like, all these people hurt me so much. I think it's finally time I took some action about it. And I got the confirmation, like I told you, birds and butterflies and cars with my favorite colors and all these things give me confirmation when I need it. I ask it to go to right to left, fly right in front of my face, right to left, make it obvious. So I know that what I'm holding on to in my mind, when I'm constantly shifting and thinking of different things to do in the future, when that's the right way to go, give me that confirmation so I can keep going down that way. And if I'm not, give me left to right, and I'll stop, reorient, and change. And that's happened to me so much for the past couple years, so much that I'm able to identify the pattern so easily. And I mean, the other day I thought about hurting the people that had hurt me. And then we had eagles flying right to left. We had these cranes and herons that always give me comfort because I never see them, and then I always see them when I need to see them. When I'm at like my worst, I run into these like herons that fly
right to left, and they hang out with me sometimes, and we sit at the lake together. Or swans. So we got 2 eagles and 2 herons, and the crows left me alone for a couple days. They finally showed up today. I was hanging out with a deer, and then the crows showed up, but the crows couldn't get me for a couple days. I was able to be at peace with eagles and cranes, and then the crackheads slowly came back, and then the bad white people slowly came back, and now the crows are there again. But I did think about hurting the people that hurt me. Like, I schemed up a bunch of different ways that I could, how easy it would be to pay a crackhead to kill a cop that has been bullying me. And he's just a sick man that's got a lot of issues. And then I overcame that, and then I let it go, and then a bunch of different cops swarmed me. It just seems like they're puppeted by some type of higher form that attacks me. It literally attacks me. And I just keep going, man. So it's 5:30, I gotta go before the people get here. I've got $10 left. I mostly just buy, like, at Cumbies you can get a pizza for $6.99. So I get like 5 or 6 drinks from the dollar store for $6, and then I'll get a pizza. And I eat the pizza whenever I feel bad. So I keep the pizza next to me. And then when I start to feel horrible, I have the pizza, and it gives me a couple good emotions, and then I steer it in the right direction, and then the people, instead of stomping around like they did yesterday, they just kind of leave with their head down angry. So that's why I smoke this tobacco, and I keep a comfort food around me. It's just maintenance. It seems like spiritual maintenance for me to keep the thing going in the right direction. I don't know if it must be a challenge I set for myself. Like, I must have chose to incarnate here, if that's real. I chose to incarnate with these challenges, and that's why it's so cartoony and symbolic and nonstop, because I must have decided somewhere up in the heavens to give myself these challenges so that I could grow into a position so that I am stronger, like when Jesus wouldn't take that guy and kept him sick for years, when he could have healed him to make him stronger for that eventuality that he would be healed and he would be stronger because of what he came through. So that must be why I'm suffering. Any other reason other than that, and I would fall into schizophrenic psychosis, and I'd need to be hospitalized, and I would end my life as a piece of shit that I didn't like, succumbing to groupthink and settling into a life I don't want. If it's anything other than I chose to challenge myself so I could overcome it to be a better version of myself, and I succumb to like everything everyone else tells me, then it'll just be a long waste of time until I come back to this eventuality that it's a learning and growing experience. If I let them win. So I'm not saying to kill anyone or hurt other people, but I'm saying that when I thought about finally taking action back instead of just letting it happen to me, when I chose to respond instead of reacting, instead of being a victim, I did get confirmation. Like, I got tons of right to left from the rare birds that never happened. When I thought about finding a way to kill this cop's spirit because of all this pain and suffering he causes others to feed his own ego and addictions. Fulio's name is Fulio. I think a lot of these rappers get enough clout and get enough attention in the mainstream that they get picked up by a cult, and then they pretend to kill themselves so that they don't have to keep making music and they can just live rich. I think unless you really saw them, and I know that they can clone people, they can take your genetics and they can make a clone. I don't know if that clone has consciousness, but I know that they can clone people. It's called the Gucci suit, where you get enough traction that the people that are really in power say, okay, you're here, you're in this position, Aiden Ross, you're going to be the Aiden Ross, you're going to be famous across the world. But if you go against us and you go against what we're promoting and you start to wake people up to the truth and start to go down even the tiniest bit of road, our handler will stop you. In the worst case scenario, we replace you with a clone. Like Trippy Reddit, like a bunch of rappers have come out and said that other people that are famous are just clone versions of them. and you can put them side by side, and they're exactly identical because they can just take your genetic blueprint. They can read your DNA in the same way that they can make GMO foods. They just have a GMO person. It's been in our face for decades. Will Smith said he has 2. Kevin Hart said he has 2. That he'll just, like, if he doesn't want to go to an event because he's too busy on a beach in Miami somewhere fucking bitches and getting money, or whatever they do now, going to Epstein's Island to do satanic rituals, to open up portals to demonic entities that fill up their spirit with a certain power so that they can do certain things. And when they're not doing that, if they don't want to go to, like, this press event, they just put the clone with sunglasses and have him go on the Met Gala and not talk to people. Look at all the prosthetic faces that you can have, these masks that look identical to people that you can wear. Look at the robots that they have now that have human features. That they have skin that looks, in China they have skin that's completely the same as what we have now. You could touch a robot with human skin and it will be warm like a person, but it's completely synthetic underneath. So I don't know. But if I go missing and I stop making content for 6 months and my channel is still up, please, like, edit the videos and put them all into something that can be spread out and keep it safe, like in a hard drive somewhere, so that I don't disappear off the face of the earth forever. I'm showing you what I'm going through daily. Just because I'm not screaming at you and freaking out doesn't mean that it's not a horrifying experience. It's not schizophrenia. Yeah, that's what they used to do. They used to bring politicians in, and then they had a guy like Epstein that you think you're hanging out with your friend, and then he invites his niece in before there was internet and iPhones, when they had cameras and they couldn't edit, so people believed photographs. Like when Trump was famous early on, like 2000s, they would have politicians that were running for office think that they're going to hang out with Epstein, and then he's like, come meet my niece. My niece wants to meet the next president of the United States. And then the niece rips off her clothes and then grabs his hand or something, rips off her clothes and puts his hand, like, near her cooch. And then they have someone with a camera on, like, a one of those mirrors that you can see through. And they take a picture of Trump grabbing her by the pussy. And then they have a politician now that they could charge with pedophilia at any moment and slander their name across the world forever, for the rest of history, ruining their legacy and their children's legacy forever, when they had fought so hard to be great and to make an impact. So that happened a lot, blackmailing of politicians to perpetuate agendas for the ruling class. That definitely happened. And they have satanic covens that get kids early on. They even have kids specifically, like, they have satanic covens that have been coming around for generations, that they purposefully had kids specifically to breed, to believe it's fun and cool to have sex with adults as 4-year-old children, and then they just grow them up that way, and then eventually when they're old enough, then they become part of the coven and they become wizards, and they work for Planned Parenthood, and they devote their life to helping the people that bred them like that. So they get jobs like Planned Parenthood or an office so that they can slowly perpetuate the agenda of that organization. So when people are like, Planned Parenthood's evil, it's because a lot of Planned Parenthood is designed to help people that want to do abortions. We know, and this will get me killed, this could get me killed, if you look up something called the zinc spark, it's that when the sperm fertilizes the egg, they can measure that there's this giant mini Big Bang, this tiny atomic nuclear blast that comes out of the cell when the in vitro fertilization, that science is saying that's when the consciousness gets into the system. As soon as the sperm takes a bite out of the egg, the serpent takes a bite out of the apple, As soon as the man serpent coerces the woman to take a bite out of the apple, and the baby is impregnated, or the woman is impregnated, there's a mini Big Bang that happens in the womb, and the consciousness fills up that cell, and that's when it's life. It's not life after 2 weeks. It's not life after 30 days. It's life as soon as the serpent coerces Eve to take a bite out of the apple. And then it grows in the Garden of Eden, the womb, on a branch, the umbilical cord, in the tree of life, the placenta, until it's grown full term and is cast out to toil the soil naked. Good morning, Heather. I just talked about how the Garden of Eden was, in Genesis, was about pregnancy. When the serpent, the sperm, coerces Eve to take a bite out of the apple, fertilization. And then it has a mini Big Bang called the zinc spark, where consciousness comes into that embryo, that zygote, that cell. As soon as it happens, and it's called the zinc spark. And science says that's when consciousness is inside that entity, or whatever you call it, is when the sperm gets into the egg. When the serpent coerces Eve to take a bite out of the apple, and then it grows on the umbilical cord, branch, tree of life, placenta, Garden of Eden, womb, until it's cast out to toil the soil naked. And then Planned Parenthood is like this huge agenda to murder life, to stop life from happening. That abortions and all this stuff were originally invented by Satanist covens to help them with rituals, to steal that life force and use it for their own manifestations and agendas and influence and character, boosting their own energy like a bank, giving them more spiritual wealth to make certain things happen. And that politicians that go against it will either get killed and cloned because they can imprint your genetic material and grow it, so they could either have a clone of you, hire a lookalike, or in the past, like Yesmi was talking about, they would bring politicians like Trump in to hang out with CIA agents like Jeffrey Epstein, and they would bring in a girl that was probably a sex slave baby that was born and raised into being a sex toy, would come in, and Trump thinks that his niece is going to sit on the guy's lap, and then she just rips off her clothes and they take a picture of it through a two-way mirror back in the day before you could say it was AI or video editing. And it would be authentic, so that back in the day, because people could tell when you faked a picture, it would be a real picture. It would just be a fake scenario where the guy was taken advantage of. And then if he didn't conform to their rules and their agendas, then they would just ruin their legacy forever. So their whole existence was meaningless because they snuffed it out with slander. So at 6, I gotta go. I thought Heather was in the chat, so I talked to Heather like she was here tonight. I thought she was in the chat. I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I don't feel called to do anything. I feel like we're ascending past the 4th dimension. I just had something just jump into my third eye, like a download from the universe. That seemed like a cat pouncing on me. And it showed me that I should go somewhere else. Bearmace just woke up. Who should we ban? I wish I could go through and see all the people that I banned. Like a veterans memorial. She's getting her kids up for school. Fuck, school's happening. Oh, God. Right. I don't know what that means. Gone forever, Daniel. Yeah, Brad Pitt in pre-K. Brad is in pre-K. That's crazy. Wish I was rich. Wish I was rich, man. All right. 2 hours 33. I have to go before they show up. I'm going to go. I'm going to download some podcasts. And then I'm going to go out into the woods and I'm going to go to sleep. Unless I get some huge call, like the crows are coming today. The crows are here. If they bother me too much, I'm going to get on a bus and go back down somewhere else. But I had a lot of... it's been bad. It's been bad today. It's been pretty bad. Hopefully my content's entertaining enough that you can watch the video back later. Or maybe this is better as a live experience. Either way, thanks for watching, guys.